I'm a squirrel and I have too many hobbies. This is Jackson, and today we are going to talk about everything that I've been working on and reading for the past couple weeks. And we all know Jackson's a menace, so if that sounds good to you, grab some coffee. I have a nice latte, and we'll get started. We all know co-host Jackson only is like this when I'm filming, so we're just gonna deal with it. And we're gonna have some extra kitty situation, which is great. And hopefully, the stabilizing thing in my software can help with the shaking, because y'all are on this like precarious little like TV tray basically, and he is rubbing against it and shaking, which is also why like when I put my coffee on here and then I move it, it shakes. So trying not to do that. It's very important. All right, so all that out of the way, I haven't been doing this because I kind of forgot in the last one, but we're gonna do a little tarot card to open up. This is the 5 Cent Tarot by crap. I'm gonna throw it at myself. 5 Cent Tarot, second edition by Madame Clara Cecil. And the cards are beautiful. They're edged. They have straight backs. I did back this on Kickstarter, so I think I was able to choose like the card color and like the print and stuff like that. The other thing I like about these cards before I pull a card is if you can find this deck, it's a great beginner deck, because you see that's the 5 of Cups, and it has keywords for each of the upright and reversed positions, as well as kind of some good symbolism of what everything is that's talked about in the guidebook. It's a great learning deck. I just think it's pretty. Do a nice shuffle. I can riffle shuffle, but I need a desk to riffle shuffle on, so I prefer to do hand over hand. Unfortunately, sometimes I throw cards, and then I will occasionally rotate the deck because I do read with the reversals. Okay, that feels good. And our card for today is, okay, it's the Moon reversed, which is repression, confusion, and fear. It is very much, there it goes. It's very much the dark side of creativity, or what's stopping you or holding you back from being creative in your endeavors. Just some fun food for thought. And again, the moon, it doesn't have reverse, any reverse card doesn't have to be negative. So the moon reverse might be like, what's all your whips that you are working on that you haven't gotten around to finishing? And we're going to talk a lot about that today, because it's my year of finishing, and I actually do have one finished object. I'm so excited. So, Contrast Blast socks, Mystery Knit Along from 2023. I knit them single one at a time, Magic Loop on Addi. I believe these are Addi Turbos, like long circular needle, US 1 2.25. The yarn I used, the green, was a hand dye from a yarn shop around me called Stitch and Witch that is now defunct, and the contrast color is Ba Yarns in their New York base, and I'm pretty sure this was one of their monthly colorways, because I can't find this colorway anywhere on the website, on Ravelry, or anything. So last time I talked about the project, I had one sock, and now I have 2 socks. And this is why we should do our whips especially our sock whips, kind of at the same time, because this one with the, like, this is where I was last week, or last time I talked 2 weeks ago, and I've knit literally this entire thing. This is the new sock, this is the old sock. And you can see the old sock, well, first, let's just start with the toes. They're knit top down, but we're going to talk about them bottom up. So let's just start with the toes. The new toe is a lot shallower than the old toe. And I don't know how that happened. And it also has this like wedge situation going on where, yeah, there's just more room. I will say both these socks fit me and they don't feel like super different when they're on, but they do look very, very different. I didn't write notes at the new toe or the old toe, so I have no idea what I did. The other thing is in the first sock I knit, so somehow I switched the main color and the contrast color because the contrast color is these cables. It's supposed to be these cables along here. This is supposed to be main color. And in the new sock, we don't see that switch, right? Like this cable is the green. It's that main color. And then same thing, like these cables are the green. And on this sock, these cables are the contrast. I actually think they look cool as like a pair. And honestly, if you do make these socks, it would be kind of cool to do this intentionally, to have, you know, maybe like the heel and the toe be the same color and then like switch your contrast and your main color for each sock. The other thing is my tension is super duper off. So you can see like this one, the old sock, this is the new sock. They're just like I showed them to my one partner last night, and he was like, yeah, those are really different. Like one looks like a sock for him and one looks like a sock for me, but they both fit me. They're for me. And I am just so happy to have a whip off my needles. I'm done with them. And I haven't washed and blocked them yet. I have worn them, but I have not washed and blocked. And these are always intended to be like house socks. Also, these colors are like really dulled out on camera. They're super brand person. It's like an acid, like slimy green and like tie-dyed. I do love it. They are obnoxious. They are house socks. I'm excited to have a whip done. But this is reaffirming that I'm a 2 at a time sock girly. Which makes me nervous because I have another project where I have one sleeve and I have to do the other sleeve. And so I don't know how that's going to work out. So, socks are done. That is my finished object. Now, because the contrast blast socks were my finished object, that means that I didn't really do a lot of work on the rest of my whips. And I kind of decided or found through working through and like really dedicating time to my whips is that I kind of have like 2 slots. I have like my lecture knitting. So these were my lecture knitting. This is what I took with me to school every day. I worked on it during lectures. I worked on it in between classes. That's how I was able to get a lot done on them. And so those are my lecture knitting. And then my other knitting is like my at the couch knitting. So when I'm on like Zoom calls with friends or watching TV or doing the knit and chats, I'm here and I have a lot more space. So the whip that I worked on for my like couch knitting, I've not had enough coffee today and I'm so appreciating this sip. I love coffee so much. Okay, so what I was working on for my couch knitting is this monstrosity, my corner to corner blanket, which I actually have, I might have to like undo a lot of what I did this week. This is my corner to corner blanket. It is, when you look on Ravelry, it'll have like Fright Nights or Fiber Fright Nights of Halloween linked by Alt Knots, because that's what this started out life as. And then I found out that I forgot how to do a double crochet. I was doing all in half double crochet. So by the time I got to the like chart, the color work chart, it just wasn't looking right. So I scrapped that. I frogged it. I started doing just stripes, which is great. I'm using a 5mm hook. These hooks are from Nerdy Bird Crochet on Etsy. So they're very, like, their finger bones are very nice and ergonomic. And they have this kind of hook. There you go. Focus. Okay, I literally have a whole set of Furls crochet hooks, and I never use them because they don't have this type of hook shape, which is what I'm finding I prefer, at least this point in my crochet career. That might change. It might change with different fiber. The other thing is this is in the Lily Sugar and Cream 100% cotton, so it's a very heavy fiber. And when I started with the Furls, my fear was that it was going to like snap. Like I was gonna snap the hook with it by pulling on it, because I was like kind of pulling kind of hard. But that is not the case. So last time I talked about this, I was on this green stripe, and now I'm on my second stripe of the dark orchid. So I'm probably gonna do, honestly, a big chunk of the dark orchid. I'm still increasing on this side from my other corner. Yeah, and decreasing on this side. I did notice that these other decreases I've like chained 3, and I didn't do that on this one, so I don't know. I might take the tail and like chain 3 and hook it into the slip stitch. I don't know. I think I did the decrease wrong on this side, but that's fine. If it's just one wrong decrease, it's fine. This is almost to the point where I'm going to start decreasing on both sides. So I also do need to figure out how to decrease, because if we kind of spread it out here, it's like a pretty good lap blanket size right now. I just want it a little bit longer so that it can be the full length of my couch. That's the goal, is to get it to the length where it's the full length of my couch. And then when I fold it, it'll be pretty good. But honestly, I think after this purple stripe, I'm just going to start decreasing on both sides. And again, in real life, this green's a lot more vibrant. It's very much slimy green. It's very much Goosebumps vibes for the color story. And actually, I'm going to put my little green locking one from the other one. I'm going to put it in this pixel stitch that I have this loop on. So that way, next time I see y'all... Okay, so this is where we're at with this green one. Okay, so I did a lot of work with the Contrast Blast socks. I did a little bit of work. Well, actually, it's a lot of crocheting, and I'm very slow at crocheting. So there's a good amount of work on that blanket. And then the other whip that has been like really active and on my mind is my Neve cardigan by Emily Green. And I don't think I've worked on this very much at all. So let me pull it out and let's see. Oh yeah, okay. So this green, again, this green marker, this is where we were last time. I have done absolutely no work on this. But since my Contrast Blast socks are done, this is now upgrading to... Oh, and this is on a size... The ChiaoGoo makes it so hard to, like, read. This is on size 3, 3.25mm needle. It is a fingering weight yarn from Treehouse Knits and their Yak Silk base in The Man Who Opened a Door from their Ever After collection. So this is getting upgraded to my lecture knitting. So I'm going to be putting this in my school bag, taking this to school. This is what I'm going to be working on in lectures. So then, hopefully this will get more love on it as we go on. So I don't really have a lot to talk about for this one. So now we're going to do like my year finishing like goals. So my goals for January, I don't know if you remember, I didn't, I had to write them down, where I wanted to touch 3 whips, and I've done 2 out of those. Although I think I did work on the Neve a little bit in January. So probably I've like kind of been focusing my energy on 3 whips, which is great. And I'll be working on Neve for the rest of January. So we did 3 out of 3 whips, which is great. I did resolve 2 FOs. I did that in the first year finishing update vlogcast podcast that I did. And I ended up frogging 3 projects. So I frogged the Celtic knot Afghan or glass knot Afghan. I frogged the Persian Dreams Afghan and the Everfall sweater. So I've done that. So 2 goals. So then for my February goals, so the first thing I noticed is when I was doing my spreadsheet to kind of keep everything tracked, I have a lot of Ravelry pages that are like not updated at all. Don't have great pictures, all the notes aren't in there, and I'm not sure if you care, but I kind of care. So one of my goals for February is I'm going to update all my Ravelry pages, and I'm going to make Ravelry pages for all the projects that I have planned, but only if I have the yarn and the project for them. So if they're in that planned category and I have the yarn in the project, I will make a Ravelry page for them. If not, I'll make them as I go, as I get yarn in. Okay, so now for my totals. So in the planning stage, I have 8 different projects. On the needles, I have 9. Finished, I have 1. 1 finished. And frogged, I have 3. So my next goal... So my goals for January... Or my goals for February are probably going to be... Again, to touch 3 whips. Update all my Ravelry pages. And hopefully have another finished object. The Neve cardigan might be in a good place for that because I'm on the fronts. And I'm halfway through the front. So it needs the fronts... And then it needs the arms and then the button band and to be put together because it's knit in flattened pieces. So it would be so nice to have the Neve cardigan done for next month. But we'll see. So that is basically everything I'm kind of knitting. Oh, I didn't mention this sweater that I'm wearing, this sweater vest. This is the Leith sweater vest by Rebecca Clow. Knit in Sanduscar and Peer Gynt in gray. I think it's called like Gray with Falling Leaves. It's a gray tweed, so it has like speckles of very fall colors. And honestly, I threw it on because it is cold right now in Tampa, and it is cold in my house, and I just want to have some warmth and cozy on my core. Like living in Florida for so long after living up north, it is more like about layers and cardigans and like things that I can easily like put on and pull off or like layer on, because you'll go into a building, it'll be freezing because they have the AC on, or outside's kind of cold, and then you go into a building with the heat on. So unlike other places, I'm always like taking on putting off clothes, which is why I think like I'm not gonna knit too many pullovers. Like I'm kind of focusing more on cardigans because they just have more utility in my life. So now we have everything that I'm kind of reading and like watching. So I did finish. I'm going to go into more. I'm probably going to do like a quarterly like Nan chat where I talk more about books. This is kind of just like kind of what I read and like brief thoughts about it. So I did finish Can't Spell Treason Without Tea by Rebecca Thorne. I gave it 4 stars. I did like it. It was very cute, slice of lifey. Not as romance as I did like. It had dragons and griffins, and I think it got an extra star for the dragons. I also finished The Stranger Upstairs by Lisa M. Matlin, which was a thriller for the alt-noughts spooky book club. I love that book. It was such a good thriller. It was very fast-paced. I had no idea what was going on the entire time. Another 4 stars. The other 2 books that I've started but not finished are Dryad Storm by Laurie Forest. Y'all, it's long. It's the 5th book in the Black Witch Chronicles. It's so long. It's 31 hours. I'm like halfway through it. And honestly, I think I kind of need a break. But I also don't really want to take a break because when I go back to it, I'm already confused with characters. But it's such a dense book. And it's a lot of like, nothing's really happening right now. It's just a lot of kind of, all the characters have to get like moved around the board a little bit. So there's that. But at work, I decided to like just keep a book at work and read it there in between clients or when it's not busy, which we've had a couple slow days. So I have read half of Dreadful by Caitlin Rozakis, I think, by Caitlin Rozakis. It's really funny. Like it's definitely what I call like D&D vibes, where it's fantasy, but it's like very chill fantasy, and like there's magic, but like the magic system's never explained. It just is, and it's like whatever, you just cast spells. But it's super funny. It's kind of, so far it's kind of predictable, but in a way that's like really nice. And I love it so much. And I'm really excited to see where it goes. So I very much enjoy it. I've been like giggling at this book as I'm reading, and my coworkers are like, either you need to stop giggling at the book or I need to read this book because it's just so funny. The next 2 books that I have kind of picked to read like pretty quickly are The House of Hunger by Alexis Henderson, because I just like vampires and it sounds like a really cool vampire book, and then A Bunt Instrument by Nancy Warren, because oh my god, I'm gonna need a break after Dryad Storm. I need to just like listen to something potato chippy and shut my brain off. And it doesn't help that it's like, this is now my 3rd week of the semester. I'm taking 5 classes. My brain's a little fried. I don't think like starting the Dryad Storm right when it released was a good idea, but here we are. So as for school, it's going okay. I have 5 classes. I kind of want to die. I have a group project in all my classes, which are going really well, but it's a lot of group chats. It's a lot to keep on track of. Thankfully, we have off today as I'm filming because it's Martin Luther King Day. So I'm hoping to like film kind of a bunch and then honestly just get a lot caught up on my schoolwork, because it does stock up and I'd rather get ahead of it than fall behind and like panic, which is what I've been doing. But on yesterday but yesterday it was also my birthday, so I'm now old. I'm 35, which is like just crazy to me in a lot of ways. So I'm now super duper old. We had a really chill day. We were supposed to go to a goat farm to like see goats and stuff, which was a surprise for my friends, but it was just raining too much. So we ended up just kind of like walking around the mall, walking around the bookstore. We went and got sushi, which was kind of unfortunate because I think I ate something that was cross-contaminated with shellfish, because I had to take a super intense Benadryl and then I fell asleep for like 12 hours. So that was not fun. But before that, at the bookstore, I got these are blind date with the books that some of the Barnes & Nobles around me do from time to time. I just think these are so fun. So we're going to open them up because I haven't opened them up yet and I'm excited. So the first one is fiction. Dark academia, gothic horror, isolated boarding school setting, atmospheric and spooky and culty. So this one sounded amazing. And then the next one is horror, For fans of Paul Tremblay and Taylor Jenkins Reid, Women from Classic Horror Reimagined. And Paul Tremblay wrote the horror movie book that I loved last year. It was like one of my top books of the year. Okay, so I'm opening the horror one first because it's in my hand. So the horror one is Reluctant Monsters by Gwendolyn Christie. This looks so beautiful, and the colors actually kind of, you won't be able to tell, but they kind of like match my socks, which is super cool. Or Reluctant Immortals, not Reluctant Monsters. Reluctant Immortals. It's so pretty. Okay, from fans of Mexican Gothic. Tells the forgotten stories of forgotten women in classic literature. Lucy from Dracula. And Bertha Mason, who's the wife in Jane Eyre. Okay, that's super cool. Now for the fiction one. And I do like Gothic horror and reimaginings, so. Oh! How cool. So this is Catherine House. And this was actually on one of my list of books that I wanted to read this year. I can't remember, like, what prompt it was for, but, I'm super excited about this. Literary suspense set in an excluded elite university with rebellious undergraduate students. Okay. So these are my two blind date with the books. Honestly, very similar vibes. I'm excited about both of them. So, I'll have to figure out when to dive into that. And then my friend from work gave me a couple gifts for my birthday. And one was Assistant to the Villain, because she said that I was giggling at Dreadful so much, and it reminded her of this book. So, I will read it. I think there is a romance plot, which I'm not, you know how I feel about romance by now. Yeah, see, undeniably hot boss. We'll see. I don't think I'm going to like it as much as Dreadful, but it'll be good, like, kind of compare and contrast between the two, because they are kind of similar, like, irreverent vibe. This does kind of remind me of, okay, if you've been on the internet for a long time, I think you'll remember the, like, list of ways not to, like, piss off the Dark Lord or something, or list of things I won't do as a Dark Lord. And there were a few fan fictions that, like, sprung up around it, pretty much in every genre. And it was, like, the list of, like, I won't have, like, all my minions will have mandatory, like, archery lessons and, like, whatever. And I won't, like, not kill the little sidekick of the villain. So I think it's going to be, like, kind of like that. And then the other book is Before the Coffee Gets Cold, which I have heard about this. It's supposed to be, like, time travel-y. Yeah, you coffee and travel back in time. So it could be fun. We'll see. My friend did tell me that it was the year of trying new things. But then she also got me, because I'm a squirrel. Because I'm a squirrel and I like whiskey, she got me 2 things of Blind Squirrel whiskey. This one's the peanut butter whiskey. I've had the screwball version of peanut butter whiskey, and I've had a couple. I've also had the Blind Squirrel in, like, mini bottles of their peanut butter whiskey and like it. And then there's also the peanut butter chocolate pretzel. Look, the little squirrel's holding a pretzel. Ah, it's so cute. I love it so much. So yeah, I also have a lot of whiskey. I don't know what I'm gonna do with this. Probably old fashions. That's how I prefer to use my flavored whiskeys. Is I make an old fashioned, but instead of using simple, I use the flavored whiskey as a sugar, and then like bitters that kind of go with the flavored whiskey. So one of the ones that I make with the peanut butter whiskey is what I call a peanut butter and jelly old fashioned. So it's peanut butter whiskey, rye, and then the Luxor cherries. I usually take like 3 cherries and then like a scoop of like the cherry simple in that, and then a store of bitters. And that's my a store of bitters, or I've also done with cherry bitters, and it's really good too. So I'm thinking I might do like maybe a chocolate old fashioned. So do like the peanut butter chocolate pretzel whiskey, some chocolate bitters, and rye. I tend to mix flavored whiskeys with rye as well, because rye tends to be a little bit drier and a little bit more bitter than bourbon. Rye, bourbon, whiskey, scotch, so they're all very similar. They're all like the same family. They're all cousins. No, they're all siblings. They're really all siblings. Scotch is the sibling that like went away on an exchange and came back a little weird, but rye tends to be drier and more bitter, so it cuts through the sweetness and stands on its own more against flavored whiskeys, which tend to be on the sweeter side. So it balances out nice. I really like them. So that is that. And then for acquisitions, I don't have any yarn acquisitions, but I did go to the store. Okay, how this started was there was this TikTok that I saw about the colored bracelet you're supposed to wear for good luck based on your Chinese horoscope. I'm a snake, so apparently I'm supposed to wear like green or yellow. I don't know. I think I took a screenshot, so I might put the screenshot up. Did I drop a bead? I don't think so. So I was looking for some green beads, some purple beads to make these little bracelets for me and my friends. But I'm pretty sure I got the wrong string. This is too thick for these beads, so I don't know. But also while I was there, because I have no self-control, they have these lampwork glass beads, which again are squirrels. But I was thinking I could put these and make them into like progress keepers. So I have my like 3 little squirrels for my progress. And yes, this is kind of making beaded bracelets is another hobby, because I have too many, but we'll have to revisit this whole beaded bracelet thing. But I have beads. Hello, Jackson. All right. So that is everything for me for these 2 weeks of crafting. I'm usually not quite so much a monogamous anything, but especially not a monogamous knitter. But I was looking at the socks and I was like, I only had the 1 sock, and I got to a point where I was so close to having that 2nd sock done, and I was like, I can't come in to this video like, oh, I just have the toe left. So I did kind of pull a bit of an old-nighter and sit and finish that toe, and that also might be why it ended up kind of weird looking, but whatever. I have a finished object for January, only a million more to go, and honestly I've been calling this my year of finishing, but I don't think I'm going to be finished everything this year. Maybe like everything I have on the needles now I'll have finished, but I don't think the things that I've planned are going to get finished. But my thought is to do like kind of like a 2 off, 1 on. So I need to finish something else off so I can cast on a pair of socks for a friend of mine who's moving. I don't know. Hopefully I can do that and I don't have to ship it to her, because I'm terrible at shipping things. But so that's that for Jackson. Are you sitting on my phone? Okay, so that wraps up this year of finishing update. So this is going to go up on the 22nd. So if you're watching on the 22nd, yay, I did it. Hopefully at 9 p.m. If you're watching at 9 p.m., yay, I did it. If not, it'll go up on the 22nd. Like, my goal is to really get these up, like, on sometime on Wednesday. So there we go. And then the next video on the 29th is going to be a knit and or craft and chat, because I'm probably going to be working on that blanket. So it's going to be knit and chat. And it's going to be myths of tarot and like tarot cards. So another tarot one like we did in the beginning. And then on the 5th, I'll have another podcast. So yeah, we're just alternating podcasts and knit and chats. So hopefully that makes sense. So other than that, have a great rest of your day, and I will see you next time. Bye.